When you become comfortable with seeing the disappointed look on people's faces, especially the people that you really want their approval, you start seeing who your real people are. Because people who deserve to be in your life and people who are healthy for you will not put you in a position where you feel like preserving yourself and loving yourself is disappointing them. Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Beyond Words with me, Nejwa Zabian. I've always been a firm believer in the power of words to heal what they didn't break and to break what they had no right in breaking. And today's episode is going to be much shorter than usual, but just as powerful. Somebody recently asked me on TikTok if I could make more. They said, can you please make more WTF kind of content, like with some attitude? And I think, why not? Let's do an episode called Disappoint Them. Especially if you're a people pleaser or if you're somebody who's always been so worried about treating people right and not upsetting them and not making them feel like you're too much and not making them feel like they need to do a lot to keep you happy or satisfied. You're going to have a really hard time disappointing people, because not only do you feel better about yourself being the good person that you are, but you feel better about yourself even more when they see you as a good person. And so you end up trying harder and harder to be on their good side. But one of the most powerful things you can do for yourself is to disappoint people. They expect you to be quiet when they hurt you. Disappoint them. Be loud. Tell them this is not okay with me. They expect you to bend over backwards for them, especially when they make you feel like what you're doing is not up to the level of what they accept or what they're okay with. Disappoint them. Okay? Disappoint them. Let them really see the side of you that says, I know what I can offer and I know what's within my capacity. And I know that that's way more than you've ever given me to. And I'm not going to fall for the manipulative tactic that makes me feel like I can never do enough. When you give yourself permission to disappoint them, you give yourself permission to be free as you are. To not constantly walk around in the world at the mercy of who's pleased with you and who's not. That's already taken enough of your time and enough of your life, and we don't want to live that way anymore. When you become comfortable with seeing the disappointed look on people's faces, especially the people that you really want their approval, you start seeing who your real people are. Because people who deserve to be in your life and people who are healthy for you will not put you in a position where you feel like preserving yourself and loving yourself is disappointing them. I need you to learn to be okay with the discomfort that comes with knowing that you've disappointed someone. Knowing that they no longer see you as somebody who will exhaust yourself trying to be liked by them or trying to be loved by them. Mila? You know, Mila disappoints me every day. Let me explain. There are so many times where I'm getting work done and she wants to play. She wants to go for a walk. And it's totally her right, because I'm the one who's in charge of taking care of her. And I can't just go all day without giving her any form of physical activity or anything that actually promotes her health and her happiness. So sometimes I'm in the middle of work and I'm reminded, oh, it's almost halfway through the day and I haven't really done any form of movement with her. So let me go and do it. So many people in your life will make you feel like if you expect absolutely anything from them, that you're a disappointment. And they make you feel like if you don't see the little that they give you as a lot, then you've disappointed them. And if you don't leave everything that's yours behind in order to meet them where they are, that you're disappointing them. And what I'm saying is, let them be disappointed. Be okay with that. And it doesn't take too much practice. Once you disappoint one person in your life who has been putting you in a box that's labeled as compliant, that's labeled as she will do whatever I ask her to do. She does everything for me. She always wants to make sure that I'm happy. If I give her one hint that I'm not happy with what she's doing, she'll make excuses to explain how much more she can do and why she's done not enough, and etc. They've put you in that box. And as long as you're not in that box, as long as you say, but I have a need, or I'm exhausted from doing all of this, or I didn't make a mistake, this is just a human thing, they say you've disappointed them. So they haven't really made it hard for you to disappoint them. You literally just have to be yourself. So when you disappoint one person, it becomes easier to disappoint others. Trust me. Especially if you really care about that person's opinion about you and about everything in life in general. Once you disappoint one person, it becomes a lot easier to do it. I remember a moment in my past when I had one person in my life who expected me to live a certain way, be a certain way, speak a certain way, write a certain way, dress a certain way, stay out late to a certain time and not past that, and associate with certain people and not others. The relationship was extremely rule-based, and it was really easy to make a mistake and to disappoint this person. And I struggled with that a lot. I remember going in circles in my mind thinking, like, how do I get them back to seeing me as somebody who isn't so bad and constantly breaking the rules? Like, how do I get this person to just see me for who I am and to think that the way I dress doesn't define how good or bad I am, and the way I speak or the things I write about don't define how good or bad I am, or how too sensitive and maybe not too sensitive that I am, until a moment where they gave me an ultimatum and said, if you don't go back on this decision that you've made for yourself, I will no longer be in a relationship with you. And this is not a romantic relationship, but I'm keeping enough details out of respect for this person and their place in my life. And I vividly remember this moment. I was crying. I was conflicted. I called a friend of mine and I said, I can't do it anymore. Like, this decision I made for self is actually a very personal decision. I didn't make a decision that affects this person who I really care about at all. It has to do with me and my life. And I'm at an age where I can make those decisions for myself. And I remember my friend saying to me, well, you're just going to have to rip the Band-Aid and let this person be disappointed. And let this person stick to their decision that they will no longer be in your life. It's not that you're deciding to no longer be in their life by continuing to stick to a decision that is meaningful to you, that is true to who you are. It's that they're deciding to not have the full, authentic, decisive person that you are in their life. So let them stick to that decision. Let them be disappointed. And when I actually did that, I remember being terrified because I didn't think I could do it. And I kept thinking as the time got closer that I was given this ultimatum, like, if by this time you don't do this thing, I'm not in your life anymore. I kept thinking like my world was going to be flipped upside down. My whole life was going to change, and I was terrified. It felt like my life was going to end, actually. And here's what happened. My life did end in a way. My life was flipped upside down in a way. Everything changed in a way. But what that did, and Dr. Gabor Mate talks about this a lot, the process of individuation, of no longer just seeing yourself as needing to belong somewhere to be okay. When you are okay being your own person and choosing the places where you want to belong. When you individuate, you're learning about your own path, you're paving your own path. You're not just stuck to the old belief systems that tell you you're not okay unless you're attached to this group of people, to this system, to this family, to this whatever. That moment really solidified for me that I can survive being ostracized, that I can survive disappointing someone. Let me tell you something, and this gave me goosebumps when I thought about it. You think that you can't survive disappointing people, but wait until the moment it hits you that you've been disappointing yourself. That's the moment that you really will struggle surviving through. Because there's going to be so much guilt from within that comes up, maybe some shame, maybe some judgment that says, you let me down. And all of a sudden, that feeling that you have that you've let yourself down becomes so much bigger than the feeling of letting somebody else down, than saying no to somebody else. When you start seeing yourself as the most important person in your life, and no, that doesn't make you selfish, even if you are a parent, and I know that that's hard for some of you to hear, but even if you are a parent, it's okay to see yourself as the most important person in your life. Once you start seeing yourself as the most important person in your life, it'll be so much easier for you to say no to others than it is for you to say no to yourself. You'll have this inner conflict that comes up anytime you feel like you need to deny yourself of certain things to please others. And so disappointing them becomes easy because you will do anything to not disappoint yourself, and you deserve that. You've earned that. You've been there for people your whole life. You've bent over backwards trying to please everybody in your life. You have developed health issues, and you've developed so many survival mechanisms in order to not disappoint others. And where did that get you? To a point where you feel like you've let yourself down so much. So let's begin the journey of disappointing others if it means not disappointing ourselves. As I said in the previous episode, this episode and the one before, I didn't prepare words from me to you or words that found me. I want these words to come from you. So I want you to find quotes or write something from yourself, either to yourself or to somebody who has been disappointing themselves at the cost of not disappointing others, and write it in the comments. I genuinely believe that when you put words to something, you take away from its power over you. And the power that it gives you is power with you and for you, not over you. So let's see what those words are going to be. Now, I'm going to remind you, there's a chapter in The One Who Broke You Can't Heal You that's titled, How to Be the One Who Always Fixes You. So how can you always be there for yourself? How can you become the person who's always there for you? I think that's such an important skill because you've spent your life waiting for the people who broke you in any way to come back and fix what they broke. You've been waiting for the people who've been making you feel like you've disappointed them and you're such a disappointment and you're this, you're that, to come and tell you, actually, I was wrong. You're never going to get that. And even if you do, trust me, it will not do what you think it will do. It'll bring up a lot of resentment within you. It will bring up a lot of unresolved issues. The best thing you can do is be for yourself what you think you need from them. Once you're able to be your own lawyer, and that's actually a part in the book, I've titled it, Be Your Own Lawyer. What does a lawyer do? A lawyer will defend you no matter what. They are on your side. They will put together the best argument that's meant to protect you. And that's what you need to be for yourself. A lawyer comes in and says, I don't care if the person who hurt you admits that they hurt you. We know they did. We have the evidence, and we're going to prove it. And that's what you need to be for yourself. Disappoint them. Let them down. Let them go around and talk about you and say that you've changed and you used to be the person who picked up your phone at 3 a.m. and you used to be the person who made a special day out of every special day for them, and you're not that person anymore. They will never admit to the ways they've let you down. They will never admit to the ways that they've disappointed you. They will never admit to the ways that they have completely taken advantage of you. You're going to be the one who sees all of that. I hope this episode inspired you, A, to disappoint them, and B, to commit to yourself that as long as you are not disappointing yourself, you are willing to disappoint everyone else. I hope this episode helped you find healing beyond words, and until next time, have a wonderful day.